Hi students, welcome to another session of biology. So we were dealing with excretory system, isn't it? A small portion of excretory system is left behind and that I will be taking in some other class because I need to move forward a little bit faster because your board exams and all I need before your board exams and all I need to give you continuous and rigorous revisions. So I'm moving little faster. That three processes in the excretory system that I will be discussing in some other class or in the Google Meet I will discuss. Okay. So right now I am moving on to chapter number 10, nervous system. What all are coming under nervous system? You have learned this so many times in your smaller classes, but I am brushing up all the knowledges here. Okay. So the first thing about the structure of neurons. And before that, let me tell you some amazing facts about our neuron, our nervous system. That is the importance of a power nap and all. I will discuss first that one and we will go to this kind of clinical and technical terms. Okay. So students, what makes nervous system different from other systems? Obviously, your obvious answer will be that, ma'am, it controls the other systems. Yes, of course, it controls the other system. It controls directly or indirectly. It controls completely. In some cases, completely controls. In some cases, it is incompletely controlling the system. And along with nervous system, we have an endocrine system also, which hand in hand actually work for the development, for the beneficial of our body. So, what exactly is nervous system? What is the what makes nervous system different from other systems? Okay, yes, of course, it's very fast and accurate decisions. Okay, that is what that makes nervous system perfect because nervous system is actually working on a particular agenda. That is, it has to protect our body at any cost. That is the main thing embedded in the nervous system. For example, I will share you a video about the amazing facts of brain. Okay, in that they are told one thing, that is the imagining a situation. That is, if we have concentration, if we imagine that we are going to fall, we are hanging over a cliff or something, we are imagining that thing, or if we are viewing a person hanging from that region and we are actually placing us in that position, our hands will start sweating. You know why? Because our brain has less capacity to actually demarcate between imaginary things and real things. That is why imagining the situation is very, very important. Okay, some people have written books on that. That like our Orlando's book, we know that law of attraction and all. What we are thinking that will be attracted towards it. How much it is scientifically possible, I don't know. But our brain is having a capacity like that. That is, it can actually work according to the imagination. That is why imagining that situation is very much important. That is why the sports people and all, they will be imagining that situation. You can see that they will be meditating in a meditating situation like this before entering to the field, because they are imagining, they are acquiring that capacity. Their body is, they are making them body ready for that. Even before exams also you need to do that. The main problem that children face during exams is that they get very tired. You know why we are getting so much tired? Why by reading and learning is one of the, what we can say, one of the murkiest and one of the very, very toughest job for our brain. Okay, that is why we cannot concentrate more on the studies when we are disturbed. Okay, so how we can concentrate? Okay, one thing is that from the starting, when we, when do the, let me ask you one question. When do a computer shows a full RAM speed? When it is refreshed, isn't it? When it is refreshed, it shows the complete RAM speed. That is because while refreshing, what happens? What all background things are working, what all unwanted things are on, the computer itself will shut that thing out and it will only recollect all the wanted activities and it will start again. Just like that, brain is also having that capacity. And you know what is the refresh button we are having inside our brain? Yes, it is a small nap actually. Power nap, we will say. That is, while studying, if we feel that we are really tired, we can keep both our palms on on our eyes, and we can take a 5-minute nap. Okay, you can put an alarm, or you can tell your mother to call you. 5 minutes nap. That means after 5 minutes, when you wake up, you have a cup of tea, or you have wash your face, you will feel refreshed. Okay, for that you need immense capacity to concentrate, immense capacity of willpower. That is, you will not sleep again. You will not keep on sleeping. Okay, so that is a refresh button. That is a tip for you while learning for exams. Okay, now let us go directly to the nervous system. And another astonishing thing is that we have got a very speedy impulse. Okay, some are saying 170 kilometers, some are saying fastest is 194 kilometer per hour, 190, then 260, 200, 200, to 2695 kilometer per hour. Like that, so many calculations are there. Okay, it depends. That is what I have to tell you. It depends. It depends upon the type of neurons, and the place where the nervous system is placed, type of animals. These all are different for. Okay, for the speed of the nerve impulse. But one thing you must keep in mind that is that it is really fast. Okay, now let us come to the basic structural and functional unit of our brain. Which is the functional and structural and functional unit of excretory system? Yes, it is nephron. In brain it is neuron. What about our digestive system? Do we have a structural and functional unit of digestive system? Think about it, okay? I'll be asking that question in Google Meet. We can discuss at that time. Okay, so structure of neurons. We are very much obvious with that topic, isn't it? It is always there in the textbook. I have noticed that it is from 5th standard onwards it is there. You are very much aware of that. First portion is the cell body, that coconut-like head the neuron is having with lot of branches. Okay, exactly. That branches is looking like trees, which is called dendrite. Okay, that is why the term is called dendrites. Then, which is the portion which the nerve signals are received. Okay, then comes the axon. Axon is covered with myelin sheath. Okay, why is it covered with myelin sheath? Is it proofing of something? Yes, of course. If it is covered with myelin sheath, means it is protecting. It is actually protecting the loss of action potential. Okay, that we will discuss later. Now, neurolemma is there. That is the covering of axon. And what happens? Somewhere inside the axon there are nodes of Ranvier. I will be sharing a small PowerPoint for you so that you can see all these pictures directly. Okay, it is there in your textbook also. You need to draw that diagram in your textbook. That is your homework. Neuron must be there in your notebook. Okay, so roads of Ranvier. Then the last one is the ending of the axon. Okay, now what is the peculiar feature of axon? Axon is the longest part of the neuron. Okay, it is the longest part. Sometimes it will be 1 meter in length. It is told like that. Some neurons are that much lengthy. Okay, so some axons are that much lengthy. Okay, if a neuron is showing that much length, it is the axon part that is lengthy. And what happens? The end part of the neuron is like this. It is like a knob actually. End part of the axon. So axon is like this and the dendrite is like this. The axon will be inside the dendrite like this. This is the connection between two different neurons. This is A neuron and this is B neuron. Their connection will be like this. So the signal will be passing from the dendrite into the axon in this way. So in between there is a region which is called the synapse. This is not touching, this axon is not touching the dendrite. It is standing like this. In between there is an area called a chemical filled area which is called the synapse. Okay, synapse. and that area contains this chemical which is called the acetylcholine. That is the term acetylcholine. Now, acetylcholine, okay, acetylcholine, what is the peculiar feature of acetylcholine? Okay, children, I am moving forward to the thing, that is I am saying something reverse. First in your textbook it is given transmission of nerve impulse. First I am going to say about synaptic cleft. Okay, so what happens is that this is a different diagram. Okay, in this the axon end is like this, isn't it? This is axon. Okay, and this is the dendrite. Okay, this is the dendrite. So what happens is that the nerve impulse will reach here and it will be transported here. That is, there is a chemical change happening here. Acetylcholine is there. Okay, there is a chemical reaction happening over there. So what happens? The nerve impulse is transported over here, and the chemical actually sends some nerve impulse which is in the form of an electrical impulse. Okay, but don't confuse it with electricity. Okay, in electricity electrons are actually transported, isn't it? But in the case of nerve impulse, only a sodium is being, there is a polarization and depolarization of a membrane is happening. Nothing else is happening there. Okay, and that is very powerful. That's why the nerve impulse is traveling. Now, what happens is that when we take a membrane, a membrane like this, okay, membrane, all the positive energy, positives will be outside. This is the resting potential. You will say resting potential. Potential means a potential change, we will say. Okay, so this is the resting stage of the neuron. So when this acetylcholine is released, what happens is that a nerve impulse will be entering. So what happens is that because of the pressure of the nerve impulse, presence of nerve impulse, these positive ions will have a tendency to come inside. Okay, so if the positive ions are coming inside, who will be given out? If one end is positive, who will be inside? Of course, negative will be inside. So when the positive goes inside, the negative will be coming outside. Okay, so this condition is called polarization. Okay, polarization, or we will say it as in your textbook it is called excited region. When positive is entering inside, it is called depolarization or excited region. Now what happens is that there is a tendency of the sodium to again go outside, which is called repolarization. So in order to prevent the actually passing of in order to prevent the dying of this impulse, what happens? Sodium has to be pumped again and again. And in that case, it is called sodium pump, which is done with the help of ATP. That is why energy is very much required in the transmission of impulse. Okay, this is a small portion only, as such you have to learn. You must not be understanding anything from this, because this is not the way to explain this. Only a small portion is included here, and that is also included in your textbook, in your reduced syllabus also. So that's why I am only this much is required. Only mentioning is told there, not explanation. That's why I am telling you this. Depolarization, repolarization, you have to remember. Synaptic cleft, synapse, acetylcholine. These are the things you have to remember regarding the transmission of nerve impulse. Okay. Next comes type of neurons, type of nerves and all. Type of neurons, we have 3 types of neurons: sensory neurons, motor neurons, then mixed neurons or associate neurons. That's what we are saying. Yes, associate neurons, both coming together. As sensory neurons means the neurons present in the sensory organs. Motor neurons means the action of the action is done by the motor neurons. Mostly they are present inside the muscles. Okay. Then comes the nerves, types of nerves that we are having. Nerves are actually thread-like white structures which emerge from the brain and spinal cord and branch out to almost all parts of our brain. Okay, neuron is the single structural and functional unit of our brain, our nervous system. Nerves are actually a bunch of neurons. That is the difference. Okay, that is what they are saying here very complicatedly. Okay, they are normally they are whitish in color, and because of the presence of myelin sheath, because they must be protected insulation, we will say. Okay, now next one is actually the nerves, types of nerves. Same like neurons, we have sensory nerves, motor nerves, and association nerves. Okay, that you can read from your textbook. Okay. Motor means always it will be associated with brain, muscles. Sensory means always associated with sense organs. Okay. Now mixed means it will be a combined version. Now mostly spinal nerves are mixed nerves. Okay. Now the major divisions of brain. Okay. That is, the nervous system is divided into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system means it contains, let me write the divisions here. Nervous system is divided into CNS and PNS, peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. Okay. Peripheral nervous system consists of somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Okay. In some cases, they are saying this autonomic nervous system is actually part of parasympathetic and sympathetic. They are also saying there are different kinds of divisions. Here only a slight division is shown. Okay, that is what it is. Okay. Now, peripheral nervous system consists of actually the cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Okay, the nerves arising from the crane and the spinal cord. They are coming under the PNS. Okay, that is the somatic nervous system, that is we are saying. Then autonomics means, autonomous nervous system means all the autonomous involuntary activities. Involuntary activities are done by the autonomous nervous system. That is the activities that we are not knowing as such. For example, heartbeat, breathing, digestion, some kind of muscular movements in our body. These all are done by, controlled by autonomic nervous system. Okay, which is very complicated. Now, next comes the brain. So, next we will go to the structure of brain. Structure of brain is very important. You should know the parts of brain and the functions they are carrying out. The exact location of the certain area, certain terms, it is very important in brain structure. That is, from exam point of view, structure of brain and their functions are very, very important. Okay, so what all are the structure, important structure? First of all, let me tell you, brain is kept inside a box, isn't it? That is what we are saying. What is that box called? Yes, it is called cranium. Cranium. Okay, we will say brain box, which is a bone, which is actually the skull portion, in which 8 bones are fused together, and this box is formed. This round box is formed. That is what the differences. Okay, now next comes the brain layers. The brain has got 3 layers, which we call meninges. Meninges. You must have heard meningitis. That is actually the swelling of these layers. Okay, brain fever and all. That is, and this meninges undergo infection sometimes. Okay, and that is called meningitis. Okay, swelling of meninges. So there are 3 meninges we are having. Okay. Okay, outer dura mater, in middle arachnoid, and the inner pia mater. Why the matter actually? It is not meter, okay? It is matter. It means covering or mother, it is called. Okay. Protection, that is what it is meant for. Okay, matter is actually mother. It is actually protection of mother of protection, that is they are telling. Okay, in dura matter, dura means toughest. The outer covering is the toughest one, and the inner covering is the softest one, which is having the blood supply and all. Okay, and the middle one is actually having a cushioning effect, which is having a web-like design. That is why it is called arachnoid. Okay, I had a confusion. It is arachna matter. That's why I told it in. I got confused. Okay, it is actually arachnoid. Okay, sometimes we will also get confused after teaching this much years. Okay, so next one is next most important part that the brain comprises is the fluid filled inside the brain. The brain is kept inside a fluid. Why it is kept inside a fluid? Why can't this much protection are there? Then why brain has to be kept inside a fluid? Okay, so that portion that is very important. That question is very important. Why fluid? It is for shock absorption. If our head hits somewhere, that shock waves are not directly hitting the brain. Brain is a very soft organ, very soft and what we can say vulnerable organ. So it cannot receive such kind of shock at on spot we will die. So in order to absorb that shock, the brain is kept inside a fluid which is called cerebrospinal fluid. What is it called? Cerebrospinal fluid. Children, please remember these terms. Okay, meninges, dura mater, arachnoid, and then comes pia mater. Okay, so that is what it is, cerebrospinal. This is what the protection is. Or protections are complaining of that, and inside the brain we have certain areas, fluid fill areas, which is called ventricles. Okay, they are also there. Central canal system it is also there in the spinal cord. It is extended towards the spinal cord also. Next comes the portions, the brain areas. Okay, which all are the areas? Okay, the first most important part in brain is, let me start this one. The first portion is cerebrum. We are writing, okay? Then comes cerebellum. Then comes our medulla oblongata. Okay, very major things, that is. Okay, now what we will do is that we are going to divide all these things again and again, because each and every nook and corner of brain is having a function. Okay, another areas are there, inner areas are there, like thalamus, pons. Okay, then hippocampus, like that, so many areas there. We are going to the inner portions of the brain. So let us start. These are the common things that we are having. Okay, so we are going to start the normal inner portions. Okay, so students, next part is actually, we told the outer coverings, the protective layers of brain. Now we are going to the inner portions. Okay, the first portion that we are going to cut and slice and we are going to operate is actually the cerebrum. Okay, cerebrum has got two hemispheres, two halves. We have got a left hemisphere and a right side. Okay, left side and right side of the brain, and they are actually the inner portion of the cerebral brain region is white, which is medulla region we are calling. The outer portion is called cortex, which is grayish in color. Why is it white and grayish in color? Because when the neurons in that area is myelinated, that is protected with myelin sheath, then they are white in color. If there is no protection, they are gray in color. Now, so we can see many grooves and all in the brain structure, isn't it? When we draw the structure of brain, we will draw like this, isn't it? So many grooves will be there, like this. Okay. So many grooves and sulci, folds will be there. That folds are called gyri and the grooves are called sulci. Sulci and gyri. The terms you should remember. Okay, white matter. Wherever white matter is more, that is the inner portions inside the brain, the axon is more. That is the conduction is more in that region. That is what it is. Okay. Next one is the most important word is corpus callosum. Corpus callosum. What is corpus callosum? Corpus callosum actually connects these two hemispheres. Okay. What is the importance of corpus callosum? I will tell you. It is apart from your textbook, I will tell you what it is doing. It is actually, corpus callosum is very powerful. It actually mixes the voluntary and involuntary activities, the memories, the long-term memories, short-term memories. We have a very complicated mind, isn't it? These all workings are done by the corpus callosum. So, when we are awake, the corpus callosum is very much needed, because these two hemispheres and other parts of the brain has to be collaborated, has to be working together, in order to function our body smoothly. But when we are sleeping, our thoughts, our body movements, these things are not needed, and the breathing sensation, the breathing rate of breathing is not needed. If I am sleeping, this much breathing is not needed. I need not to talk. I don't have to blink my eyes. I don't have to be very keen about my hearing. Okay, I don't have to work my fingers. So that means most of the motor activities are to be cut off during sleeping. Okay, some people are very actively sleeping, people are there. In their case is different, okay? But I am saying very silently sleeping people. Okay, so what happens is that the corpus callosum will gradually cut the connection between right and left hemisphere. So we will not be feeling this, because this will happen gradually after 2 or 3 hours of sleep. That is why 6 hours of sleep is very important, because we have stages of sleep, because our refresh button is not a single button. It has got to be refreshing, step by step things are there. So corpus callosum has to cut and remove all these activities first of all, isn't it? So when the connection goes down, we will be completely under sleep. You will not be knowing all these things if you are normally sleeping. But when we are very, very tired, we had a very tiresome day, we will feel that we are going to sleep. That is, in sitting position also we will sleep. In that condition I am saying. That is, when we are sleeping, what happens is that suddenly we will feel that we are going to fall into a pit. Okay, how many of you have felt that? Most of you must have felt that. While hearing to a boring class, you must have feel like this, isn't it? So that means you feel that you are going to fall into something. You cannot concentrate. So what is that activity of brain? That is what the corpus callosum is doing. Corpus callosum is actually cutting off the connection suddenly. Okay, then what happens? The consciousness of brain, it will say, no, don't do that, because the person is not sleeping. The person is actually half awake. You cannot do that. So what happens? After that, if you sleep normally, nothing will happen. But otherwise, what happens? We will be awake from our sleep. Okay, that is also brain activity, a beautiful brain activity. So that is what importance of corpus callosum. Okay, children. So next we will go to, and next one is the functions of cerebrum. You know what are the functions of cerebrum? All the involuntary activities, the voluntary activities like thinking, dreaming, then intellectual activities. There are intelligence. Don't think that intelligence is only single kind, okay? There are 8 intelligence, 9 intelligence, okay? Spatial intelligence, That kind of intelligence, I will be sharing a PowerPoint for you that regarding that. Okay, or we will discuss that in the Google Meet. Just remind me of that. Okay, and what happens is that, so all these voluntary activities are actually done by the cerebrum, or intellectual activities, habits, our habits, then what we can say, the activities, our talents, all are actually concentrated in this cerebrum area. Our creative writing, all things. Okay, our inner selves, our inner deep thoughts, all are coming under the cerebrum. It is controlled by cerebrum. Now next we are going to cerebellum. Okay. Okay. Next portion is cerebellum. Cerebellum is actually called little brain. Okay. From smaller classes itself you have been learned what is cerebellum doing. It is actually controlling the balance of our body. That means, balance means, don't think that it is just like the ballet people or the circus people balancing. Not like that. Even when I am standing, I am balancing my body. Okay, that means the cerebellum will coordinate with the cerebrum, the activities the cerebrum is doing. If I am thinking of walking to this area to that area, that is actually mentioned in the cerebrum. Cerebrum will immediately convey that to the cerebellum. That is, there is a hand-in-hand coordination with cerebellum and cerebrum. And also it will coordinate with medulla oblongata also. Why? Medulla oblongata is actually the area which is coming below the cerebellum. Cerebellum is a flower-like structure. In the above region is containing grey matter and the inner region is containing white matter in cerebellum. But in medulla oblongata, it is actually just kind of an extension of brain, we can say. Brain stem also. It is actually conveyed as brain stem also. Now, in medulla oblongata, what is the activity? It controls the involuntary activities, very vital involuntary activities like breathing, heart rate. Okay, these kind of peristaltic movement, these all are done by the medulla oblongata. So, that is also these three regions, the cerebellum, cerebrum and medulla oblongata are the major part of brain that will be coordinating. Okay, now in your textbook, major functions of different areas of brain is given. Okay, that also you can actually mention. Okay, frontal lobe, these are posterior, anterior, is all given here. Now there is a structure showing the this structure is also shows the another regions like pons is shown, then hypothalamus, pituitary gland, which is the seat, which is the throne of actually the seat of hormonal reaction that we will be learning in endocrine system. Then hypothalamus, it controls the hormonal secretion. Pineal gland, it actually controls the clock, the biological clock. That means we will get really disturbed if we are not getting enough sleep in night. Even if we sleep a lot during the daytime, if we are not sleeping during the night, we will be really disturbed because our biological clock is disturbed. That is what pineal gland is. Then thalamus, hypothalamus, all are coming in the inner portions of the brain. All other portions are mentioned here, spinal cord. The portions that I didn't mention was hypothalamus, thalamus, pineal gland and all. That I will be discussing in the coming classes. Okay. So children, there are three regions in brain. Okay. Now what is the regions actually? Why this is very important? Why we divide the regions? Okay. That is because in clinically we are actually, when we are dissecting a brain, we will dissect in that way. Okay, it is easy to dissect in that way, but if we are defining the areas, we will define it as cerebrum, cerebellum and all. So it is defined as forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Okay, forebrain consists of cerebrum and diencephalon. Midbrain consists of small tubular parts, that is including the auditory centers of eye, auditory center and the optic center, which is coming under midbrain, and hindbrain consists of cerebellum and pons. Okay, and medulla oblongata. These are the hindbrain regions. Okay, now coming to spinal cord. Okay, spinal cord actually, it is a central canal which is going through our vertebral column, which is all the brain layers are extended towards the spinal cord. Okay, and it ends towards our cognital region. It is extending, okay, to the tip. And spinal cord is covered by same three matters, dura mater, arachnoid, and pia mater. Okay, central canal is there, and which is also containing the cerebrospinal fluid. That is, if we have difficulty in brain, if we have some difficulties in brain, the first thing the doctor will do is that he will check the fluid inside the brain. So drilling the what we say, drilling the skull and taking fluid from inside the brain is little difficult. So what they do is that they will actually insert a very long needle into our cerebral, into our spinal region, and they will take out the fluid from the spinal region. Okay, then only we can actually detect whether meningitis or any infections, or even we can detect the presence of tumorous cells also over there. Okay, so that is what the importance of spinal cord is. Okay, functions of spinal cords is actually reflexes below the neck, context sensory impulses, context motor impulses. So children, one thing you should know, that is reflex action and spinal cord is very much connected. So the motor neurons and sensory neurons are arising and going into the spinal cord, isn't it? So what happens is that if the spinal cord is damaged, that's why our movement is not there in paralyzed people, but our brain and talking and all, everything will be there. Okay, so that is what we have to understand from this region. So children, the next class I will be discussing from peripheral nervous system onwards. We will complete the chapter. Okay, thank you so much.